Hey, I wanted to come on and just do a bit of an impromptu video because I'm having one of those days where I'm just so in love with my life. Um, and excuse me for getting emotional. You'll figure out why in a sec. So in love with my life. I'm just so happy right now. Maybe it's because I got to see my mummy yesterday and I got out for a day when I tend to be 2 weeks on my own. Maybe it's because I've just done for an interview for a position that I've wanted for ages, and I'm hopeful that I'll get it. Or maybe I'm just excited with where my business is going and the stuff that I'm getting to create and the support I'm getting to give at that. So I'm just feeling so much love, like in love, kind of love, for my life, but also for myself. Like it's nice to be at peace. Do you know, it's nice to enjoy your own company. It's nice to have a head that is kind, considerate, supportive, passionate. You know, I've got a good balance going on. And it's not always as good as this. You know, as I've said before, I have had depression since I was 11. That depression has been extremely hard. It has been all-consuming at times. It has been life-threatening at times. And one of the reasons I'm getting emotional is because this time last year, I was going to Peterhouse for suicide prevention counselling. I took a major dip. I don't know where it came from, as is normal. And I quickly started to have suicidal ideations, which I've had before. And so I went to my GP and she put me on a waiting list to get help with through the HSE. I lasted about 3 months waiting and there was still no signs. So I actually rang Peterhouse, because although, you know, suicidal thoughts is something that I do have to battle against sometimes, where I'm at with my mental well-being is I'm very aware that they're not my thoughts, that it's not me, that it is this illness. And so it makes it easier for me to kind of not take it seriously. Now, don't get me wrong, it's hell. It's freaking hell. It is hell. And it's painful and it's scary. It is just torture. You know, and anyone who's been there, you know what I'm talking about. Like I remember there was one day last year where my parents had just gone out and I sat down in the toilet and my head just went, now's the time, do it now, they're gone. And I was like, holy shit, I literally got off that toilet, chucked on some semi-presentable clothes and ran out the door and spent the day sitting on buses. Because you can't kill yourself when you're on a bus. I mean, you could obviously find ways, but I was just like, no. And I just sat on buses and just looked out the window until I felt it was safe to go home, that my family would be there. Like, I know I could have rang them, but like, the thing is, suicidal and depression, doesn't just affect me. Like, my mother is always aware and I always tell her when I'm really sick or when I'm really struggling, because it's a way to stay safe. But I'm also aware that it puts, you know, a burden on her. Not a burden, it's the wrong word, but it puts, like, you know, she's being feared for me. Like, when I live at home, I'm very much an introvert. I rejuvenate from my own company and from alone time. And so for my mental well-being, I go to a hotel for about 3 nights every month. It's something I can afford. Like, I can't afford to move out full time, but I can afford that. And so I do that. But there's been times, especially last year, where I left and my mother didn't know if I was going to come back. And I couldn't promise her I would, because I didn't know. You know, and being a mental health and well-being coach gives me, you know, so much benefit in being able to help myself. But being someone who lives with depression, it gives me so much benefit in being able to help other people, even just with understanding, compassion. Like, there's so much unspoken that I know that you don't have to go into detail, or you don't have to say more than just a basic sentence and I'll know where you've been. I'll have been there. But unfortunately, being a mental and wellbeing coach does not make me immune to mental illness or tough times. So this year, I think I've had maybe 2 days where those thoughts have come back, not in any strength, it was just that little whisper voice. But I was scared. I thought, is this going to be a yearly thing? Like, is this going to be a pattern that happens every February? It seems to be, it starts. And so I've been lucky this year it hasn't. I don't know if it's stuff I've done or potluck, or do you know, the therapy I got in Peterhouse was some of the best therapy I've ever had. Phenomenal, like phenomenal. Highly recommend their support. It was life-changing. And luckily, or funnily, the lady that I got a therapy from, she's a psychotherapist, but she was originally a coach. And I don't know if it was because of her style was a bit more direct and dynamic that I found it really beneficial, because I can find therapy just far too passive and silent, that it feels like it's not productive. I know that it is, but it takes longer to feel the benefits, whereas that's like 6 weeks, you know, and so it's a bit more kind of direct and proactive and solution focused and stuff like that. Or for me it was anyway, more kind of processing. And I always make the best of any counselling opportunity I get. Like, I do, literally my motto is, if you cannot sit naked covered in your own shit in therapy, there's nowhere else you can do it. You've got this chance, go in there, literally bare your soul, share your shame, and really progress through those feelings. It's always been just so valuable to me. It's the only reason I'm alive. Like, to be honest, I didn't expect to live past 16, and I wasn't the only one who didn't expect me to live past 16. And I know, like, that there's probably some people that I went to school with that might watch this and be like, God, I didn't even realise. You know, and that's the truth. That's the thing of depression. People wouldn't have realised it was mine. It was a burden that I carried inside. It was a hell that I lived internally. So I remember when I got to my 32nd birthday, I'm 38 now, it was pretty special for me. No one else quite noticed I shared the kind of recognition with Mum. You know, I'd lived twice as long as I had truly expected to live. And by 32, I'd had a long journey with my illness and my mental illness, but I'd had 5 years of psychotherapy in my late 20s, and they were slow and passive, and that's why it was 5 years. And it was hard, like, it was hard fucking work. Excuse my language, I don't really curse. But it was. But I went in there naked, covered in my own shit, not literally. And I worked and took as much from it as I could possibly get. And it paid off, you know. My life began at 30. Like, my freedom life began at 30. You know, so it was really special to hit 32 and having felt happiness, true freedom and happiness, kind of at that stage would have been only quite new to me. Yeah. So anyway, today I love my life, and I wanted to share it with you because I know there's other people who will really be struggling in this current environment. And I know that there's people who, I mean, I'm not the only one that has mental illness. And so I know there's people who will hopefully watch this and see, like, that hope. Effort does make for change. It is possible. It is possible to actually feel good stuff, and for it to be somewhat sustainable. Like, I do have still bad days, and as I say, last year I had like a really big dip, and it won't be the last dip I have. Unfortunately, that is something that I accept to be a reality. I know you can challenge that as to whether or not depression is curable. For me, I've had it long enough to say, look, I'm never going to assume it's gone, and I'm always going to be living in a way to try and keep myself nourished and protected and cared for, and honor, for me, what feels like a reality is that there's always a risk, and it might always at some point come back. And as I've learned from last year, it can come back quite strong. But I'm live, and I'm very happy to be alive today, which is, you know, it's not something I take lightly in saying. And in all the journey. Like, I love what's been left. I love who has been left inside me.